How cool is that, huh? Vintage 70s. It says down here 76 to 77, but that's just kind of when they copyrighted the picture, so it doesn't necessarily mean it was made in 77, although it might have been. I want to say it was 78 that these came out. Um, yeah, I have a friend, Vic Hucklebuck. He's one of my biggest supporters, and he's got a birthday coming up, and he loves Animal. And if you ever seen him play drums, he plays like Animal. And I always try to get him something music related for his birthday, whether it's some kind of synthesizer or guitar pedal or something related like that he can use, because he plays so many instruments. But he's also putting together a toy room. We've had an interest in vintage toys lately. So he's kind of putting together a little area that he can display toys, and I thought this would be great. He has a Miss Piggy tambourine, and I think this would go awesome with it. So what I want to do is clean it up. It's got a little rust. I'm not sure what that is, if it's rust or if that'll come off or clean up or what. It's also got a hole right up in here. I'm going to try to repair. Alright, so getting into it here, it looks like these springs are holding the head rings on here. So let's see if we can take these off. Maybe from this side it looks a little easier. There we go. Don't want to ping it that hard, but I'm hoping this is somewhat like a real drum head where I can take that off. Well, the bottom one came off okay. And it's got some string in there, which I'm thinking is supposed to act like a snare. And maybe this top part doesn't come off. Or does it? There it goes. Alright, so there's my ring and my 3 parts here. I'm going to start working here on this hole, and I have some of this document repair tape, and it's for repair of tears and other damage to paper, art, documents, maps, and artifacts. It's acid free, very thin yet strong, virtually disappears, permanent non-yellowing acrylic adhesive. So pH neutral. This is going to be the stuff to use to hopefully fix this up. So what I want to do is kind of get a patch here a little bit bigger than what I need. The few times I've used this at work, I remember it being very difficult to get off. Kind of use the razor here. Yeah, I wouldn't get that off with my fingernail. Alright. I'll put this piece of wood underneath here so I have something to press against. That's going to make it way easier. It's just as easy as that. To kind of burnish it in, I'm going to use a guitar pick here. Make a nice burnisher. Make sure I get the edges really well. There you go. That's not too bad. I'm going to get some colored pencils and just try to touch that up in there and see if I can mask that. So I got the ring cleaned up here best I could. Was trying a couple different things to get the rust off. This black pitted rust here, but that's about as good as I'm going to get it. So I tried some vinegar, tried some chrome polish, and it's just kind of embedded in there. And it's not going to come off without losing the paint, so I'm just going to leave it. I do want to clean up these heads first a little before I put them back on. For this task, I'm going to try to use some lighter fluid, not directly on the paper, because these heads are paper, not directly on the paper head, but a little bit kind of dried off into this towel. And I just want to get any crud off the surface here. And as you can see, that did a pretty good job. You can almost see it's not a mildew, but it is a pretty good dust there. And that worked really well. And that's not wet at all now. It's not saturated or anything, you know. And lighter fluid dries off relatively quickly. So any that you get on there will go off. This is the one I repaired. Didn't come out too bad. You can kind of see where it was, but I think from a distance it won't be noticeable. Probably really shows up on the camera, but to the eye it's not really perceptible. I want to kind of make sure that these are lined up from top to bottom. So I think I'm going to use the seam and this stripe to line up the text. And I'm liking it right about there. Alright, on the side. That's my seam. I want to put these strings back in. I'm pretty sure these are supposed to act like snares. So you get on the top here. Put one right here. Use a little tape to keep these in place. And I can pull the tape when I get the head on. And now they're pretty even on both sides. That's cool. Move on to these springs. At the end of each of them, they're kind of spread out and pulled. So I'm going to take these S-hooks off and see if I can use some needle nose pliers to get these back together. Maybe even take, like you can see there's two coils there in the bottom of the S, maybe take a third coil up with it and give a little more pull to the spring. I already got these springs here about where I want them. I just want to make sure that they're going to be spaced evenly, like one here, 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 and here. So I'll put this first one on there, I think. It's going to be tough with the tension that it's going to want to put on here. Take it from the bottom. That'll be a better span. That's Good there. And now if I make this one directly across from it, and that looked pretty good, but my little strings fell out. Why don't you say something? Let's try this again. Alright, take my tape off. Pretty good. All the spacing here of these springs look really good. I'm just going to give a little pinch to the S here to keep them from coming off and moving. Yeah, these were kind of crimped on there on one side when I first took them off, so this will keep them from sliding and moving. The stand's all done, sanded down, fits perfect. So it'll kind of sit like this. Alright. But I want to give it some paint and some inlay there on the carving. So picked out some varieties of spray paint I had here on the wall. I seem to end up with this stuff. I pick it up at yard sales, flea markets when I see it at the right price. Ollie's always usually has good prices too. But so I picked these out that kind of went with the color here, and just kind of comparing. Burgundy's out. Purple, there's really no purple in there at all, so the purple's out. The pink is kind of cool, but I don't think it really matches. I mean, it matches his face and stuff, but down here, I don't know. So I was down to orange, which matches his skin. It goes with the drum. And I was down to yellow. And I was really liking the yellow. Even though this yellow is a little darker than the yellow that's on here, I think I like this. It's called Golden Sunset. So I think I'm going to hit that, get that, and then the inlay I'm almost thinking a magenta or a red. Maybe the orange. We'll see what that looks like once I get this painted up. So that's what I'm going to do now. So this is without a doubt my favorite part of doing a carving, is doing the epoxy pour here afterwards. I use this stuff here. It's called Glaze Coat by Famawood. I think this kit makes a gallon. It was like 60 bucks at Home Depot. You can get it at Lowe's too. Works pretty good for doing small infills. I wouldn't use it for anything structural, like making a river table or something like that, but for doing an inlay, works just fine. I'm going to tint it with some orange. I was looking at some pinks and some reds and some magentas I had, but I think the orange will look really good. So that's going to be my main base. It's a real solid dark orange. I'm going to add in some of this orange-yellow glow-in-the-dark powder and a little bit of this tangerine just to give it a little sparkle. So what I'm going to do is I pour off a little bit of part A and part B. Make sure they're equal, one into each of these cups. I think I'll pour A into B. I'll mix that for 6 minutes. I'll pour that into a fresh cup. Do that for another 6 minutes. I can put my tint in and I should be ready to go. Got 2 pipettes, and this shouldn't really take too long. So, but this is definitely my favorite part. Alright, so that's 6 minutes. It's looking really bubbly. It's that time of year down here where the humidity's starting to come up a little bit. And you know, it's starting to get into springtime, so it does this to me in the fall. In summer it seems to do good, and in the middle of the winter it does okay. Fall and spring it'll get all bubbly. Let's start off here with some orange. Bunch of it. A little bit of this glow in the dark. Way too much. Perfect. I love using Derek Bierryisms. If you don't know who that is, go watch some Vice Grip Garage. Once you get the dye in there, the bubbles, like this time of year, they'll seem to dissipate out of there. And once I hit it with the heat gun, it should get rid of all the air bubbles. Just comparing to what's up here on the drum. I think I want it a little bit darker. Don't know if this is going to get it dark enough for me. And it's getting a little darker. It's still bright. Add a shot of black to it. Maybe like 2 drops. See what that does. It's picking up that orange up there a lot better. Alright, I have a Q-tip and some rubbing alcohol on standby here in case I get a little on the edge where I don't want it. Just get a little paper towel as I work the pipette here. get as much crap off there as I can. And it's like baby poop orange. Alright, that looks pretty good. Got all the air bubbles out of it. And just going to let that sit. About 12 hours I can be able to handle it and move it somewhere else. 24 hours it'll be completely dry. But yeah, I think that's going to look really good. Kind of see how that's going to kind of sit there. Nice little stand. I mean, it'll sit right in the center, but you know, kind of get the idea of the color contrast. So that's awesome. Happy with that. Really happy with how this came out. That drum cleaned up nice. The stand fits it. It looks of the era, like it came from the 70s. I wanted to bulk this up a little bit too, and I was looking on eBay for other Muppet Sound related items from that time period. And I was fortunate to come across a Dr. Teeth tambourine. And that'll make a nice little display there. And that'll be cool because my man already has a Miss Piggy tambourine. It's a little larger than this, so that'll make a pretty cool display for the retro toy room. So why don't you give my friend Vic Hucklebuck some birthday greetings. I want to thank you for watching. Give me a thumbs up for filming it for you. And we'll talk again soon. Bye for now.